Spy Media here with Adam Marsden. Adam, obviously, not the result we would have wanted, but I think, most importantly, not the way we would have wanted at the last minute. Talk me through that. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it? I mean, you go into these sort of games, and the thing is with Chesterfield is you have that sort of expectancy now that, I mean, after the last couple of years, you'd be silly to go in there expecting a win. And I did the exact same on Saturday against Woking. My thoughts were straight away that we're going to lose, we're going to struggle, it's going to be an uphill battle. And I've said it numerous times to different people, and I'm not going to say that we're going to go on and be champions, but I think that what we've shown on Saturday was definitely a champion's mentality. And I think it's something that Sir Alex Ferguson brought in with Manchester United, where you're not going to always be the better team, but you grind out results. And there's not a chance that we deserve to win that game on paper, let alone on the stats or anything like that. But we went ahead and won it, especially by a 4-0 scoreline. So you go into today's game with that sort of thought that we could do something here. Torquay, we know, are a very good side. You go into it thinking, I'll take a point away from home. It's a late Tuesday night. The weather's not ideal. You've got to take injuries into account, things like that. And we go 1-0 down pretty early on, and you start worrying a little bit, and you think, is this going to be a predictable Chesterfield thing? And your emotions start to jump up and down, especially when Denton gets the equaliser. And to lose that late on, when you've defended for as long as you have and you've fought for as long as you have, to concede a goal in the dying embers like that, and it just deflates, and you just got to try and, well, from our perspective, we've just got to try and get on with it. From Chesterfield's perspective, it's got to be a case of the players need to just regroup, go again and learn from the errors. But it's disappointing, but the players are going to feel as bad as any of us are, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, 100%, mate. To be fair, most people I spoke to had really been upset with Denton coming off. Did you see a change in the game when he went off?
Yeah, Denton brings a different style of play, doesn't he? Everyone predicts that you're going to go along to the tall player and you're going to aim for him every single time. The thing with Denton coming off is you expect that to change slightly. And the thing that Pemberton's brought in is it's not as predictable as it was under Martin Allen. It's not as predictable as it was under John Sheridan, where before the game's even started, you see a tall player and you know straight away that that's what's going to happen. He's been holding the ball up much better at his feet. It's not always been for the flick-ons. He's got different players alongside him. I think with what happened with Kiwomya and Rawson on Saturday, it was always going to be a case of those two working together. And I think towards the end of the game, you're going to have a quicker player come on and try and make the best of tired legs. But I think the error there was Denton coming off. It doesn't make absolutely any sense why the performance that he put in. I don't think he really did too much wrong, and taking a player off for the sake of taking a player off, I don't think necessarily works. But that's something that Pemberton will learn from, and hopefully, if he does need to come off or if he does take him off, it's for the right reason. But then again, you can say that about Saturday, didn't you? I mean, Denton played well. We took him off. We went and won 4-0. Today, nobody batted an eyelid at that. Today, we took Denton off, and we've gone ahead and lost the game. Did it change the entirety of the game? It happens sometimes. Saturday, we did the exact same thing, but won 4-0.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. What I want to ask you is, I know you thought last week that the team was pretty good, and obviously after the game, and after seeing that performance today and how they really just struggled, not unable to see the game out, is that thought in the back of your head that maybe another relegation battle again this season? Because it's definitely in mind, if I'm honest with you.
I mean, we're 3 games into the season. I don't like the idea of talking about relegation at the best of the times. You look around at some of the teams that are in this division, and with no disrespect to them, you think we're not one of the best, but I think in comparison, we're definitely not one of the worst. And I think with what Pemberton's brought to the club, what he did last time when Sheridan was sacked, when Martin Allen was sacked, for the short period of time he's been in there, he's brought the players together from a youth perspective. One that I do get concerned about quite a lot, and I spoke to a mate of mine about this earlier, Joe Rowley. For me, before we got relegated, he was a star player, and everyone was talking about, when we're dropping out of the Football League, how are we going to keep hold of him? And now he's not even featuring, and I understand right now there might not be a reason for that, but over the last couple of years, he's not always been injured. I mean, he's been playing out of position sometimes. Martin Allen brought him into a holding midfield role, which made absolutely no sense. And now he's not even featuring at all. And I think there's a lot of questions to be asked as to where he is. Rawson, Sharman, I miss Charlie Wakefield. I think he would have been a great addition as well. Players like that I think had a lot to offer that we've just not taken a chance on. And now we're in this situation where we've got a lot of youth, we've got a lot of prospects in the side. Me personally, after the takeover, I'm not going to sit here and say I want promotion straight away. I mean, if we get it, we get it, and I'd be grateful for that. I'd be happy with that, obviously. But for me, just keep the club solid. Let's go again next year. Let's just get mid-table and make sure that the funds are there for the club, especially with what's going on at the moment. You don't know where the next pound's going to come from, do you?
100%. I mean, obviously, Danny, you were saying earlier that obviously I asked you, do you think that we've got to settle for lower this season because obviously the ownership? Then he put out a good point there where really we've seen them at their best and they are at a top level in my opinion when they're at the best. A lot of it's inconsistency in my opinion. Would you agree?
Mate, I don't think we've got players who are good enough to take us up, but I do think they're good enough to get mid-table and not have a relegation battle. Relegation battle at this season, at this stage in the season, I think is a bit too early to talk about. I think we've got players and a manager who's good enough to motivate these players. I think they're good enough, like I said, player for player. Against most teams, I think we're better. It's just getting that mould and getting us up getting us up the table early as possible.
Yeah, 100%. And I spoke to Danny as well about does he take any confidence in going into Saturday, Adam? Do you take any confidence going into Saturday facing Stockport on BT?
Yeah, I think you have to, don't you? I mean, we won 4-0 against a very strong Woking side. Let's not beat around the bush on that. They're a very strong side. They'd won their opening 2 games. They were in confidence, and we gone ahead. We took the goal early on. We defended for the next 60 minutes or so, and then we jumped ahead and just took a chance. And as soon as we got that second goal, there was only ever going to be one side winning that game, because Wokin's had dropped because there was just nothing they could do. And we'd got a very informed goalkeeper at the time that I think for me would have been man of the match. And I know it sounds silly to say, but you win 4-0 and your goalkeeper is your man of the match. You've done something very right. Today's a very different opposition, very different day. We just got to learn from the mistakes. Does it give me confidence going into a game against Stockport? No, but if I can see us getting a 2-goal lead, I can see us taking all 3 points.
Yeah, I was pretty similar on that one. I think Danny and Adam obviously mentioned Joe Rowley, where he is. Do you think he makes any difference to this side at this point?
Charlie's a player who I've really wanted to do well because he's one of our own. But he goes in. I've never seen him take a game by scruff of the neck. He's never took a game and got man of the match, scored 2 goals, got an assist. He's had moments here and there. There's not a lot of consistency. He's still young, so there's still hope there. And hopefully, he's putting it right on the training ground. Pemberton spoke in pre-season that he's hoping he's going to have his best season yet. Hopefully that does happen because we know he's got the quality. He's done it in League 2. He's just not been around players that have been at the right top end of the table. And hopefully this season's a bit different.
But he's been a player that's really been hit by a lot of down confidence, really going down. It must hit you as a young player going down that many leagues and going through that many relegations when you're only so young.
Yeah, you've got to think. Imagine how many different players he's been around. I mean, we had 41 different players in League 2. The player turnaround at the club's been incredible. So he's had so many different teammates. He's not had time to gel with them all. I mean, at this level, teams change so quick. Week in, week out, it's a different lineup. Players go to different clubs every month. I don't think he's been able to get his place down in the team enough times to be able to show his talent, really.
Yeah, 100%. Just final question for you two. Any changes you'd like to see going into Saturday?
Yeah, Adam, you go first.
I think we revert back to what happened on Saturday. I think go back to basics. It worked. Just give the players the same sort of boost that they really need. We have a good record on televised games. Touch wood, I haven't just jinxed that. But you go back to what we did on Saturday, go for the same lineup, the same sort of football. We aren't the best team in this division, but we can upset a lot of teams because of what happened on Saturday. And if we take the same approach, we get the goal early on, it already puts the opposition on the back foot. We stand strong as a unity in defence. It makes things a little bit tougher for the opposition straight away. And you get that second goal, and that's it. It's effectively game over. And I know it's easier said than done. And on Saturday, it might just have been a one-off where we were the better defensively. And I understand that's not going to be the case every single time. But I think if we go back to what we did on Saturday, same lineup, give the players the opportunity. The thing is with me is, while Scott Bowden's out, every striker in that team now has an opportunity to earn their place. Because before the season started, you'd be silly not to name Scott Bowden as one of your starting strikers. Now, that suspension, he's got one more game left. To me, why not chuck on... Denton's obviously going to play there, but for me, and I said this before, when you've got Denton, you need quick players around him. So for me, stick Kwame on one side of him, put Rawson on the other side of him, and let the energy talk. You've still got Mackay on the bench for energy towards later on, and Denton will pick up the pieces like he has done for the last couple of days. He's still found the back of the net regardless. But no, if I think for Stockport especially, we need to go back to what we did on Saturday. Get back to basics and do what we know works best.
I agree with Adam, but if we do get that goal, and hopefully we do, I'd like us to go at it a bit more. Even though we did score 4 at Woking, we scored that one, and then for 70 minutes we didn't do anything. Straight after a goal, I'd love us to go and get another one, keep going, and not just put all pressure on defence. Because we've seen today, I thought the defence played quite well, but the amount of pressure they're under for a good 80 minutes overall, they couldn't deal with it. So to see the attack take the game to the opposition for a change would be nice. It can get a couple of goals and play with a bit of freedom.
That's something I saw under Sheridan. You know, when he came in shortly after Allen had been sacked, he came in and took over. And we saw a different side to when he took over permanently for the following season. But you'd got a side that when you scored a goal, they didn't sit back. They push on and get that second goal. And that's the John Sheridan side that took us up in League Two. And that's what he brought to the Chesterfield side. And then when you look at what happened when we started the season, it was a completely different approach. We scored the goal and backed off. I completely agree with you, Danny. Yeah, get the goal, which is the hardest part, I guess. But yeah, you're going to get put under pressure and just stand the storm, or weather the storm, so to speak. But then you go again and just, try and be more effective attacking. Don't bypass the midfield so much.
I mean, we show when we do concede, heads do drop. I mean, especially last season. This season a bit different because we conceded first today and still got a goal back. But overall, I think players' heads do drop when we concede, and especially when we concede so late on like today.
100%, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with all them points, fellas. And thanks for that. Thanks for coming on, Adam. I appreciate your time as well. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll have you on Saturday as well if you're into it. And cheers again, Danny. That's Spy Media with Adam Marsden and Danny Hughes.